There's $32 trillion in home equity, which means the average homeowner has over $200,000 of equity. So how can we use this to buy this without selling? Today, we're talking about trade up home buying, how to upgrade from your starter home to a bigger and better home. And this is the 3-step playbook. We have timelines, keys of equity. Yes, those are keys, and then payment offsets. And by the way, I'm Nathan, helped over 500 families, bought and renovate over 15 units, and mortgage is all I do all day long. All right, let me explain something that most homeowners don't even know. There's 2 ways for your home value to go up. Number 1 is passive appreciation. You buy a house, then you just wait. As the years go by, they're usually worth more. That's because in most areas, home values go up over time. Just think about a house you might have saw 10 years ago compared to what it's worth today. It's probably worth a lot more. That's passive appreciation. 2 is forced appreciation. This is where you make the value go up. So you do the upgrades like a new kitchen, nicer floors, new bathroom, fresh coat of paint. Those changes can make your home worth more right away. That's forced appreciation. Now it gets, extra spicy when you can do both at the same time, passive and forced. And essentially you upgrade your home and you wait. That's called max appreciation, where you essentially combine the 2. All right, let's talk about timelines. Most first-time home buyers I work with will buy their first house and then trade up into a bigger and better home around 3 to 7 years. So that might sound like a very long time, especially if you're like in the beginning stages, like I'm starting to watch YouTube videos and I don't know what to do next. 3 years might sound like a long time, but I can promise you 3 years flies by. So as of recording this, it's 2025. 3 years ago, it's 2022. Feels like it was yesterday, right? Anyways, think of your home equity like a locked treasure chest. The question is, how do you get the key? There are 3 main tools, keys that you can use to help unlock that treasure chest. And the goal is to really figure out which one best fits you, especially with interest rates changing. All right, so you've got the equity locked in the treasure chest, but how much do you exactly have? It's actually super simple to figure out. All you gotta do is find out 2 numbers, your current estimated home value, and then your current mortgage balance. And then you subtract the 2, and that's how you get your equity. And another way you can translate equity into super simple terms is house wallet. How much do you have in your house wallet or your treasure chest? So let's put some numbers behind it. So let's say you have $500,000 for your current house value, and then your current mortgage balance about $350,000. So you have $150,000 in your house wallet or equity. But here's the catch. Most people try to earn more money by working more hours, which is totally fine. But you have to remember that kind of money is taxed the most. You've probably seen on your pay stub, for every $10,000 you make, you probably bring home $6,000 after taxes. This is where the wealthy play a different game. Take Elon Musk for an example. In the beginning, he might have taken a paycheck, but he didn't make billions by collecting a paycheck. So think about his Tesla stock. He let his Tesla stock grow in value, and then he went to the bank and said, hey, I got all this Tesla stock and give me a line of credit. So he used his assets as income to essentially live off that or go purchase other stuff like his houses and I'm sure other businesses and things of that nature. And guess what? That money that he got as debt isn't taxed the same as income. It's actually taxed a lot less, if not at all, because it's pretty much a loan or it's pretty much debt, right? Now, I'm not saying you're Elon Musk or I'm Elon Musk at all either, but what I'm saying is you as well have an asset, which is essentially your house, and this pretty little lopsided house, as you can tell, is actually your asset, and you can leverage that tax-free and you can use that to go buy another house. By the way, if you're learning something new, give this video a like because it saves it in your YouTube history so you can watch it later when you're ready to make your move. So let's talk about the 3 tools regular people and even billionaires can use to unlock their home equity. And right here, I'm gonna show you when I see it being used the most, because picking the right tool depends a lot on where you are in this, interest rate cycle. Key number 1 is cash out refinance. This is the one most people have heard of. A cash out refi is when you get rid of your current mortgage and you get a new, bigger amount. Let's say your home is worth $500,000, and we're gonna use $500,000 for an example, and you only owe $300,000. So you've got $200,000 in equity. Remember, we used that pro tip from earlier to calculate how much equity you have. So with a cash out refi, you might take out, let's call it a new mortgage at $400,000. So you pay off the old $300,000 loan, and then you keep $100,000 in cash. So 300 plus 100 is 400,000, right? So that's tax-free money in your pocket because it's a loan, not income. Remember, Elon Musk took out debt to essentially buy other stuff. When I usually see people using cash out is when interest rates are lowering or lowered, which you can see kind of like right around here. So I'm gonna call it cash out. So I usually see it right over around here. Because you're getting a bigger mortgage, you wanna offset that with lowering interest rates. Like you don't wanna get it right here because usually using a cash out, you would get a bigger mortgage, and cash out rates are usually higher than regular interest rates. Now, if you locked in around 2 or 3%, so those are my friends who bought in 2020 and 2021, you probably don't wanna get rid of that, right? Because you're gonna be like, oh, my rate's gonna go up double or even triple depending on your interest rate, right? And that's totally fair. And that's why this next tool exists. All right, key number 2 is the HE loan, not He-Man, but the HE loan. So think of this as a second mortgage. So you don't touch your current loan. So that's stays the exact same. So this is really popular for people who bought in 2020 or 2021, and their rate might be around 2 to 4%, because guess what? You get to keep that lower payment, and essentially you get a second mortgage. So let's say your home is worth $500,000, right? And you still owe that $300,000 from earlier. That gives you $200,000 in equity. So with a HE loan, the bank might let you borrow $100,000 of that equity, okay? So that's $300,000 for your current loan plus $100,000 for the HE loan. So here's the important part. You get the money all at once, like a lump sum. Then you start making monthly payments on that second loan pretty much immediately. So it usually comes with a fixed interest rate, which is a cool thing, which means your payments won't change over time. So when I usually see people using HE loans are homeowners who want a stable payment because their original mortgage was a super low rate and they don't want to lose that. And then they're also planning to buy their next home in the next 3 months, and they want the cash ready to go. Because remember, the important thing is once that HE loan closes, you start making payments on it. So on the interest rate curve, I see the HE loan being used the most right around here, where interest rates are towards the bottom and starting to come upwards. But if you don't need all that money up front, because remember the HE loan, you have to make those payments soon, that's when the next key comes in. All right, key number 3 is the HELOC. I know it sounds like the HE loan, but it's the HELOC. So instead of getting all the money at once, like the loan at the HE loan, you get access to a line of credit that you can use when you need it. So going back to that example, $500,000 is what your home is worth, and you owe $300,000. So you've got $200,000 in equity. The bank might approve you for a $100,000 HELOC as an example, but here's the key. You don't have to use it at all. So if you only want to use $10,000, you only make payments on that $10,000. Whereas the HE loan, you would have to make payments on that at closing, the $100,000. And again, if you never touch the HELOC, there's no loan payments for that specific loan. So one important factor is these rates are adjustable. So stay tuned for that pro tip. So that's kind of be like the pros and cons with the HELOC versus the HE loan. When I usually see people use HELOCs are homeowners who want flexibility and they're doing projects in phases like the kitchen, the bathroom, or they don't know when they're going to buy their next house. It might be soon, it might be sometime in the future. They're just not sure when. So on the interest rate curve, so this is where I see HELOCs being used the most when rates have peaked and they're starting to come down. And remember, these rates are adjustable. So that's why you don't want it right over here where rates are going up, because you don't know where the top is going to be. Here, you already, it's already starting to come down. So you've kind of like, let's call it, figured out your worst case payment and it's starting to come downwards, right? So that's where I see it being used the most. And pro tip, because you're watching this far into the video, I see homeowners, and I recommend this to my clients, is they may be in this downward trend right here with the HELOC, and then you can always refinance into a HE loan. So just like how you can refinance your regular mortgage, you can refinance your second mortgage from a HELOC to a HE loan. So again, you ride this wave downwards, right? And then now that you've purchased the house, now you know what your total cost that you need for the down payment, then you can transition into the HE loan. Whereas if you would have got the HE loan in the beginning, remember, you got to pay for that right away. And some people, they don't know how much they're going to use for the next house and stuff like that. So this is adjustable, but it's also adjustable for your goals. Whereas this is fixed payments where you got to know what you're going to be buying to make sure that this is going to be a good situation or a good solution for you. Okay, so now we know the 3 keys to unlock your home equity. So that's cash out refi, HE loan, and HELOC. So I know those kind of sound familiar, but those are the 3 ways you can unlock your equity. But before you start spending the money, let's talk about a smart question most people forget to ask. How do I cover the payment? Because if you do this right, someone else might be able to help you pay for it. Payment offsets. And the first one is rental offset. So this is when your old home helps you pay for the new one. So let's say you keep your current house and you rent it out. If your rent that you collect is higher than your current mortgage payment, that extra money you can help cover for the next home. And this is how you figure out the numbers. So I like to look up rental estimates on Zillow, Rentometer, and your real estate agent. Then I take the average of those 3. So let's do a super simple example. Let's say your rental estimate is $3,000 a month and your total mortgage is $2,500 a month, including taxes, insurance, HOAs, and all the fun stuff. That means you've got $500 a month extra. And by the way, a good rule of thumb is $500 is about $100,000 in home price. So $500 a month less is like $100,000 less. $500 a month more is like $100,000 more in a home price. So let's say you're buying a $600,000 home. With that $500 a month rental offset, it's like you're going to have the same payment of a $500,000 house. And pro tip, always save a bit for repairs and vacancies. So who's the rental offset for? First is if you want real estate to help with your retirement or just add extra income. Second is if your home is cash flowing. Third is if your rental income is close or breaking even, but you're in a high growth area like Southern California. And the reason for that that is just imagine, even though you may be breaking even or slightly losing a bit of money, if you can hold on to it and not, bleed paying this mortgage, 2 mortgages per month, and then you can sell it 10 years from now, it'll be worth quite a bit more, right? So just imagine if you bought a house in Southern California 10, 15 years ago and you can hold on to it and sell it now, you'd probably be doing all right. Offset number 2 is your temporary rate buy down. So this one's about lowering your payment at the beginning, like a discount for the first few years. It's called a temporary buy down. And the best thing is usually the seller pays for this. So the rental offset was like a tenant paying for your mortgage. Now we have a situation where the sellers can pay for this. So let's say your example interest rate is 6%. Again, this is just an example, and that's your starting point. A 1-year buy down, your first year is at 5%. So it's basically 6 minus 1 is 5%. A 2-year buy down is year 1 is at 4%. Year 2 is at 5%, then back to 6%. A 3-year buy down, which is the maximum you can do, year 1 is at 3%. Year 2 is at 4%. Year 3 is at 5%, then 6%. And the beautiful thing is the sellers have to pay for this. Sometimes the lenders can do a kind of a blend, but most of the time it's seller funded, I should say. So it's like training wheels but for your mortgage. And who is the temporary rate buy down for? First is if you believe interest rates will drop in the next few years, or you expect your income to go up, maybe from a promotion, a new job, becoming a dual household income, basically like if you get married or something like that, or you add a partner that adds an extra salary. And that's what I call the shrinking mortgage effects. That's when your payment feels big today, but over time your income grows and that same payment feels smaller over time. So if you ever seen your parents' mortgage payment and thought like, wow, how is it that low? It probably wasn't easy when they bought it, but thanks to the shrinking mortgage effect and inflation, their payment looks super tiny right now. Okay, let's put it all together and feel free to screenshot this. If you're trying to upgrade your current home without selling the one you have, here's the full playbook in 6 simple points. Number 1 is passive versus forced appreciation. Your home grows in value in 2 different ways. You wait, which is passive, or you upgrade, which is forced. If you do both, that's max appreciation. 2 is cash out. Swap your current mortgage for a bigger one, and then you get the cash, but it only makes sense when interest rates are lower or dropping. 3rd is your HELOAN, a second mortgage with a fixed payment. Best if you have a low rate loan and you want to keep it, and you know you're buying your next home very soon. 4th is the HELOC, a flexible line of credit. You use it when you need it, and rates are adjustable, so many homeowners will refinance into a HELOAN later when rates have dropped. 5 is rental offset. Rent out your old home and you use that income to help pay for the new one, so you essentially have a tenant pay your mortgage. 6 is your temporary rate buy down. Lower your payments for the first 1 to 3 years, and essentially this is where the sellers help subsidize your mortgage payment, and I think of it almost as like training wheels for your mortgage. And as always, I try to put everything into making the best videos in the mortgage space, so if you like this, please like, subscribe, and comment what you want to watch next. Also, if you own a home, you probably own some stocks, so check out the Stack and Stay playbook so you can learn how the wealthy buy homes without selling stocks. So click here. I'll see you there. This is Nathan signing out.